What is up, bros, bears, muscle mommies, and everything in between? As always, this is Patrick, full Primal Power, your mom's favorite power lifter, top 50 power lifter of all time. Welcome back to another episode of The Tip is Just Enough, where it's the first day of the training week. Now, a little bit of context, a little bit of background as to how we are doing this training week. Last week, we finished off, watch my last 3 videos, and you'll see I completed a 2150 weekly training total for doubles, which that's stupid. That's stupid. I love it. What happened after that? So I was feeling a little not shabby after deadlifts, and deadlifts did not go super well. I completed it, didn't feel super good. Now, I am a substitute preschool paraprofessional right now. I work with extreme special needs cases for a bit because the school district that I work in, it's not the school district's fault. It's just people don't want to do the job that I'm doing. Not even the Mexicans are going to be taking our gerbs. But first couple months of school is when the back to school plagues happen. So first week back to school, I got like sinus infection. Second week, it was like a cold. Third week, it was like a flu. And last week, which was the 4th week of school, my nose wasn't dripping for the first time, but all my biomarkers were like, hey, yo, something not right. I had a stomach bug, which brought like 3 of my students home for like entire weeks, and that was not good. But being as close as we are to the meat, our central nervous system is a bit compromised, especially last week because of the tonnage and volume that we played around with. Because your body can't tell the difference between physical, mental, and emotional stress, so you stress it extremely physically by lifting. So the more torn up your CNS is, your central nervous system, the harder it is for it to recover from things like colds and flus and stuff like that. But also, we are stacking up close to the meat, which means other biomarkers are going to be hypersensitive to the goings on of the insides of the body, right? So also, after I left my job right before the Ghost Clash 3. I left my job. I only had my prescriptions for a couple months. I think 1 or 2 months after that. So I've been operating life on basically taking it raw, no lube, and the first couple weeks of that, I was like, I need to take something else. So I found some other legal supplements that I could take that helped aid in that. Yeah. And then last week I also ran out of that stuff. So I was missing my prescription replacements. I was missing my central nervous system was busted up. I had a stomach bug. So the insides were screaming at me. It was like, good lordy. I actually had to call out of work on Friday because I was going to be puking constantly if I did not get more sleep. We were in dire need of recovery, and I actually slept for 12 hours straight. I called out of work, and admittedly, I did do some voice acting. I've got a background in audiobook narration, so I do know a couple tips and tricks when it comes to augmenting your voice in certain scenarios, and I made it sound. I didn't have a frog in my throat, but I was able to project a frog in my throat because they wouldn't have been like if I was just like, hey, my insides are tearing themselves up, and I can feel my eyeballs bulging, and my teeth feel like they're going to fall out because they're also bulging, and I'm in a straight panic attack because of this. They'd be like, sure, you can come in anyways. I was supposed to be a math teacher, but you throw that frog in the throat and you sound like you're on death's door, and they're like, oh, no, do not come in. Don't spread any more of that stuff. So, yeah. So I knew that something had to be done. So my coach, nutritionist, and I implemented an emergency protocol where I went from drinking a gallon to a gallon and a half of water a day to 2 gallons a day. And I cut out carbs for the whole weekend. So I woke up on Friday at 367, which is not good. Before I got sick the first time, getting back to school, I was 360 consistently. And then I recovered and suddenly I was 365. And I'm like, maybe I just put on a lot of recovery muscle mass. So whatever. And I bumped up to 367. Everything felt awful. And I was like, no, this is abnormal. This is not good. So we decided, we brain trusted, and we came to the conclusion that what was going on was inflammation up the wazoo, because my pectoral tendonitis as well was acting up. I got weird strains and pains that didn't exist before. Like my left elbow feels like there's a knife going through the tricep, which is not good. So the water making me pee at least once an hour, even when I'm sleep. I mean, I wake up, I don't pee my bed, but like it wakes me up, and I'm able to track it with my Fitbit because I'm able to look at my sleep numbers, and it's like, hey, you were awake this many, like you were awake for the duration of a pee time this many times, and I tracked it and counted, and I was like, wow, 8 hours of sleep, 8 times waking up to pee. This is wonderful. Terrible sleep. Good job, Patrick. But my resting heart rate was still spiking. And if you know anything about resting heart rate, anything above 80 is terrible. The average American resting heart rate is 60 to 100. I don't get why anything above 80 is acceptable. But before I got sick, my resting heart rate was between 67 and 72 consistently. And suddenly my resting heart rate jumped up and popped up to 78 for a couple days. And I freaked out. I'm like, this is not good. And with the eyeballs bulging and the teeth feeling like they're going to drop out of my skull because they're also bulging, I was like, something needs to be done. And I conferred with my coach. We did the inflammation, felt a little bit better. I was able to get better sleep. And the excessive peeing was the body getting rid of inflammation. So a lot of water, a lot of flushing out of the, was it free radicals or whatever that causes inflammation. And we got rid of carbohydrates. If you've seen my powerlifting diet video, you know that carbohydrates don't get rid of inflammation as fast as having a energy source of fats. But we kind of got rid of both. So I woke up on Friday at 367. I woke up today at 356. So I lost 11 pounds over 3 days because today is Monday. But also on Saturday, I was feeling awful. I was doing the Uber Eats and I was peeing constantly. And I was like, ugh. I feel nauseous and my eyeballs are bulging. My teeth are bulging. I need to do something more radical. So I talked to my coach and nutritionist, and something that a lot of powerlifters do, and a lot of the Russians are kind of famous for doing, is it's a modern version of bloodletting, where bloodletting is an old medical practice where you would get rid of toxins in your system by bleeding it out. So they'd cause a cut and they would control the bleeding. But with me, I know it's not a toxin in my system. It is the pressure of everything in me. So I have, I think my doctor called it hemochromatosis. And being a powerlifter, a professional powerlifter at this point in my training, not only are my red blood cells twice the size they all should be, which is a genetic condition that everyone in my family has, which is why I'm able. Genetics, part of the reason why powerlifters are at the point that they are, I'm able to recover faster because of this. but also the number of red blood cells I have is somewhere between 2 and 3 times as much. My hematocrit is through the roof right now, and that causes an increase in blood pressure. It was only like 140 over something, which, I mean, it's still better than my dad's, where it's like 160 over something while he's on blood pressure meds, and I'm taking things raw right now. So I did the bloodletting. I went to the Red Cross and I donated a pint of blood. Within 2 days, it felt like I took an IV of hydration when I'm extremely dehydrated. And my blood, not my blood pressure, my blood pressure did drop. I worked the rest of the day doing Uber Eats and I was like, this is awesome. I feel great. This is amazing. You can only donate blood once every 8 weeks. So I'm not going to be able to do this. You don't want to do it too often because you don't want to deplete yourself of red blood cells, but I have an abundance right now. It was funny. They test your blood before you donate it through like they do like a test strip. They throw it on a machine and it's like, hey, this person has enough red blood cells to donate blood. And it was, this person has way more than enough. Now, the phlebotomist that I was with, I was like, you're really good to go. And I was like, thanks. But my blood condition, my doctor told me, is especially good for leukemia patients. My blood is especially good at helping them with their ailments. So I should donate blood more often. But this was my first time, and I feel really good about it. And it made me feel really good. My resting heart rate dropped. My HRV increased, and everything was coming up Millhouse. Everything's good. So that being said, yesterday, which is normally the day that I do my priming day, was a recovery day where I was like, let me feel things out. Let's not run too far into um like bad territory. Let's let the blood viscosity and consistency get back, or not viscosity, but like let's let the hydration kick back in, because you're not supposed to do stuff for like 24 hours after donating blood. 5 to 24 hours. Um, um, but yeah. So today's Monday. I usually do this priming day on Sunday. So let's see. Let's see how this goes. I'm gonna blow through it, but we're at the time that I usually squat at, so there's a lot of people here, and a lot of people like to talk to me. But honestly, if I can get through this training day in 45 minutes, it'll be a big victory for me. Because I also want to do some cardio. I want to do some stuff where I get my heart rate up to between 120 and 140 for an extended amount of time, because that's going to build back the not endurance, but the athletic potential. Something strenuous that I'm not going to have to recover from, like strenuous enough to get benefits from, but not enough that I have to recover from. So probably like an incline step, or a not inclined step, but inclined walking, or uh, elliptical machine. But I'll probably do that at the Planet Fitness, and I'll keep you guys updated on that. I also have to cook my lunches for the week. I put the plural on the wrong word there. But anyways, we're at the gym. We've been sitting in the gym parking lot for about 5 minutes now. Let's go, boys. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we had ourselves a preparatory day, a priming day, a day in which we prepare ourselves for the rest of the week. And I'm no expert on, actually, I am an expert on exercise stuff. I think we did a pretty good job. So I wanted to get through this training day in 45 minutes, which is the fastest I've ever gone through this training day. So, like, if I ever expected to get through this training day in 45 minutes, all things have to be going perfectly according to plan, which they did not, because, things happen. That sounds bad. There were, I said hi to people. So talking to other people takes up time, which, yeah. So we ended up finishing off the day in about 55, maybe an hour and five. And then we finished off with about 25 minutes of cardio. And so let's go over what we did today. So we started off with the reverse grip lat pull down. This is supposed to be a standalone movement. I said, fuck that. And we supersetted it with the next movement, which is head supported rear delt flies, which is supposed to be supersetted with hex push-ups. So I giant setted that, which a giant set is a superset of 3 movements at the same time. And when you superset things, you never want to superset the rule of thumb is you want to superset contrasting muscle groups and ranges of motion. So you want to superset a push with a pull, which is why the head supported rear delt flies is supersetted with hex push-ups, but lat pull down is just a different muscle group altogether. Similar muscle groups, got a pretty good pump from that. I was feeling good. This shirt is a Christmas shirt, and it is the end of September right now, so it is inappropriate to be wearing this shirt, but I didn't feel like looking at the shirts I was going to wear today before I put them on, so I didn't. And makes my arms look big and makes me feel like my arms are big, so it's a win-win for me. And it was a clean shirt, so it's like, who cares? Shut up, you're not my real mom. Yeah, those were pretty good. We did the 140s on the rear, the reverse grip lat pull down, and the reverse grip makes it even more different of a muscle group in range of motion than the head supported rear delt flies. I didn't like the setup for the head supported rear delt flies that I did. I ended up adjusting it because I had 3 sets of the head supported rear delt flies, 4 sets of the reverse grip lat pull downs. So we ended up doing one set of the reverse grip lat pull downs on its own, and then we moved on to the next exercises, which is probably the best superset that we did today, which is incline dumbbell bench, supersetted with incline dumbbell bench. That's just the movement that should have been itself, and then we giant setted that with chest supported incline dumbbell seesaw rows. So we got a little bit of a different stimulus there as well. So incline dumbbell bench. This felt super good, but I was rushing it. So was it super good? Yes, no, maybe so. I don't know. It was not the prettiest version of this because I really didn't care about how they looked today. So it is what it is. At least on the first set. By the 4th set, I was like, all right, let's just at least try to get the dumbbells touching. Like, I always make sure the dumbbells touch somewhere. But the progression with this movement is you want the dumbbells to be touching up your bicep as much as you can without bending at your wrist, which, I mean, I probably was bending at my wrist. But you want as much of that like elbow movement, if that makes sense. You want your elbows to go down as much as possible because that stretches out your chest. And I've got pectoral tendonitis, where the tendons that connect my pec to my sternum have tendonitis, and that sucks. Would not recommend. I don't know how I got it, but it's there. Sometimes I can crack my chest, and it's just the tendons. That's how tight and grotesque they are. But it was a good movement. Got a pretty good sweat going. That's really all you can ask for on this day. You want some sort of hypoxic response, which is the science nerd words for feel the burn, get the pump going, all that good stuff. And we got that. And we done good, kids. And then the chest supported dumbbell seesaw rows. Those I should have gone slower. I should have emphasized the stretch at the bottom a little more, but I was I was listening to an audiobook and it was at a so I was listening to The Blood of Score, which is book 8 of The Wandering Inn, and the end of the book is an epic fight scene, and shit was going down. And I was like, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit. So I got a little excited, and I probably did those a little bit fast. And then I finished the audiobook by the time I was done with that movement, and I started listening to He Who Fights with Monsters 11. The first couple books of that series, He Who Fights with Monsters, were really good. And then it got kind of preachy and convoluted. And so I was split on continuing The Wandering Inn, but every single Wandering Inn book is 40 hours plus, which that's a lot of listening and a big commitment because I don't like to listen to multiple audiobooks at the same time. I like to listen to one and finish it before I start another one. And sometimes series pop up here and there. Split between continuing that, listening to He Who Fights with Monsters 11 or Ripple System 5. I don't know the name of that one, but that one starts with, I don't remember what it starts with, but that series is interesting because the stakes don't really feel like stakes, but it's written in a way that you kind of feel like the stakes are stakes. Like, any of you watch Sword Art Online? The first season of Sword Art Online was phenomenal. It was amazing because there were actual stakes at hand. Like if the character dies in the game, they die in real life. And then the next season, the Death Gun, was a little. It was in the same realm, but it was the stakes were there, but they also weren't really there. Where people were still dying because they died in game, but like up until the tournament arc, people weren't dying. Like there were no stakes at hand. And then I completely forgot about the actual season 2, which was the fairies, and there weren't really any stakes in that. It was just it was forgettable. So I thought season 3 there was season 2. So the Ripple System, it's one of those books about being in a video game, but the main character is a rich guy who bought all of the early passes, and he monopolized the early access to a video game, and he got an overpowered item, and if he dies, he loses the item, and it's dropped on the ground, and anyone can pick it up. And that's the stakes. And like, it's like that's not really he can die. So like, there are parts where he can die, but it's like, is that really stakes? Like, I'm not really sold on the stakes of that, but it's written in a way where you're like, you know what? Actually, these stakes are actually pretty. Yeah, I understand. I feel for the main character. This is all he's got, but yeah. So I was split between Ripple System 5, He Who Fights with Monsters 11, which I started listening to He Who Fights with Monsters 11, and continuing The Wandering Inn. I've been listening to the Wandering Inn for over a year straight, and it's when the series that I'm keeping up with, and there's a lot of series that I'm keeping up with, audiobook wise, and like, Primal Hunter, He Who Fights with Monsters, Ripple System, Between Dragon's Eyes Moons, that one pretty good, except for a chapter where you kind of feel like a scumbag saying it's a shit chapter, but it's a chapter about consent, and you don't really want to say that it's a bad chapter, and you just feel gross when you read it, and you're just like, That's not how it works. And then you look up the author and you're like, oh, it's not a chick writing this. This is a dude. So it's obvious that he was trying to get laid and the characters are just his fetish. But it's all right of a series. It's all right. It's engaging. It's entertaining. And then Defiance of the Fall. Anything Will White puts out. What's funny is Travis Baldree is the audiobook narrator of every Will White book. But Travis Baldree also has books out, and I refuse to listen to the audiobooks of them. And I read the physical copies. Like I got Bookshops and Bone Dust by Travis Baldree right here. I'm most of the way through it. First one, what was it? What was the first one? Legends and Lattes. Adorable book. Read it in a single sitting. Fantastic. This one, not as good. I feel like he put more time into the other one. This one, it was kind of meh. Like I get it, but it's you know. So I'm struggling to get through it. I normally only read nonfiction books physically because I'm a prick. But we finished off the day with biceps, training biceps, and one of the homies was like, "I'm training biceps for the first time in a long time." I'm like, "All right, cool, me too." But they didn't tag along. I think they did incline bench. It's not biceps, but I did 3x20, 30 seconds rest, 15-pound dumbbells, full supinated dumbbell bicep curls. And then I switched to not hammer curl, like regular curls with neutral grip at the bottom of a 3x8 at 40 pounds, 2 minutes rest of dumbbell curls. And that's how we finished off. And then we got on the treadmill. And my resting heart rate is a little higher than I'd like to be. So I decided to, I didn't go to Planet Fitness to do this because the day has been getting away from me. But I was like, what is the best way to get your resting heart rate down? And it's prolonged sessions at an elevated heart rate. Like your body adapts to it by reducing your resting heart rate and making your blood flow more efficient. And I haven't been doing a lot of cardio this training cycle, which I don't like, which is weird because I never liked cardio until I started with Joe and Bree. And now that I'm with Joe and Bree, when there's no cardio, I'm like, very suspicious. But we're on a bulk, and cardio would make the bulk harder. And I'm already struggling with the volume of food. But I like the cardio because health, strength, you can only express strength so much with certain amounts of athletic potential. And you can express strength better and more efficiently, more frequently, the healthier your heart is. Fun fact. So we hopped on the treadmill and we didn't run. You don't want to run if you're over 220 pounds. So popped up the incline because increasing incline guarantees an increase in heart rate, almost definitely, which is why I like taking Buddy on walks. But it's like I live on a hill, like in the middle of the hill. So I'll go a couple streets up to the top of the hill and then go around, or I'll go down the hill and go around and go up a hill and then go around and down a hill and then around and halfway up a hill. So Buddy, when he does get walks, he hasn't been getting a lot of walks recently since I've started working because I don't have time. He's very athletic, very, very energized. Now he's getting a lot of nap time, unfortunately. But my next job that should be starting at some point next month after the meet, I'll have some work from home and I'll be able to spend more time with Buddy. Maybe perhaps go on more walk. I mean, I won't be driving into work anymore, and that driving time could be kind of pushed over to walking Buddy time. So I'm excited for that. And yeah. So we aimed. I was trying to formulate. We popped the incline up. I was trying to find a good incline for probably about 5 minutes, and I settled at 4. I was up as high as 8, but I was getting a forearm pump from holding on. I like to hold on to the control at the top. just where my arms are comfortable. Otherwise, I like throw my elbows and I feel like a holly jolly green giant. And not about that. Not about that. And then um I found that, and I found that 3.2 miles per hour gets me close to 140. 3.0 gets me close to 120, maybe a little low. So every 2 minutes, I would bounce back and forth, keeping my heart rate between 120 and 140 for 15 minutes straight. So I did about 25 minutes of this prolonged cardio. But I need to go eat dinner because I have work in the morning and I've got squats tomorrow. And I would like to have a good squat day tomorrow. And doing so would require good nap, or not good nappy time, good sleep. And best sleep requires no naps. And I'm already at a point where I need to take a nap for squats. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. Or, I mean, the next video is going to come out the day after tomorrow, where we will do squats, where we've got squats 3x2 with bands, just banded squats 3x2. Bands will pop us up towards like 800, mid sevens, and the bar weight's only like mid 600s for a 3x2. No reps, just testicular fortitude. So I'll see you guys there. Yeah, I don't need to sign off. Patty out.